Let's talk about 8051 interrupts. Interrupt means anything which breaks the continuity is called as an interrupt. The other definition for an interrupt is it is a disturbance caused while the processor or the controller is executing an instructions. And if you see the slide, the other definition says that an interrupt is an external or internal event that disturbs the microcontroller to inform it that a device needs its service. Like we have an external events, we have an internal events. If any of the interrupts are disturbing the microcontroller, what the microcontroller has to do? It has to provide the services to that particular external devices or the internal one. Coming to the next point, a microcontroller can serve several devices by two ways. One is the polling method and the other one is interrupt method. Coming to the polling method, let us talk about the polling method here. To understand the polling method, let us take an example here. We have a microcontroller. For this particular microcontroller, let us assume we have n number of devices which has been connected to the microcontroller. Now what the microcontroller has to do? The microcontroller has to continuously monitor the status of all the devices. Let us say now what the microcontroller do is first it is going to check the status of the device 1. If device 1 doesn't require any microcontroller services means then it is going to push on to the next device. It is going to check the device 2. Even if device 2 doesn't require microcontroller services means that it goes on to the next device, that is device 3. Likewise, it is going to check n number of devices. Let us take an example now. If device 4 needs microcontroller services means now what the microcontroller has to do? It has to provide the services. Now once it completes the device 4, it is going for device 5. After completing device 5, it goes to device 6. Likewise, it is going to check n number of devices. Now whenever it is asking device 10, let us assume it is asking device 10 now, do you need my services? Whenever it is asking device 10, at that time if device 2 needs the microcontroller services, then what happens here? The microcontroller doesn't jump to device 2 here. Once it completes the last n number of devices, after completing the last nth device, then only again it moves to the first device, then only it can provide the services to device 2. This is what the polling method is. So if you see the points in the polling method, the microcontroller continuously monitors the status of a given devices which has been attached to the controller. Whenever the condition is met, like if any of the device needs microcontroller services, whenever the condition is met, then only it is going to provide the services to the device. After that, it moves on to monitor the next device until everyone is serviced. Likewise, it is asking n number of devices. So with the help of this polling method, what happens here is we are wasting the efficient time of the processor or the controller. So in order to overcome that drawback, in most of the computers, interrupt method is used. So we say that the polling method is not efficient since it wastes much of the microcontroller's time by polling devices that do not need service. Even the device doesn't require any services. But what happens here in the polling method? It is continuously asking n number of devices which has been connected. So what happens, as it is asking n number of devices, we are wasting the processor time here. So in order to overcome that particular drawback, in most of the computers, interrupt method is used. Let's talk about the interrupt method. Interrupt method in the sense, see if you see interrupt. Now the first point, whenever any device needs microcontroller services, the device notifies the microcontroller by sending it an interrupt signal. Means now we have taken an example for the polling, like we have n number of devices which has been connected to the microcontroller. Whenever any of the device needs services, first what the device do now, it sends the microcontroller, it sends an interrupt signal to the microcontroller. Now what the microcontroller do, once it gets the interrupt signal from that particular device, what it has to do, it is going to stop the current execution of the program. So whenever it is stopping the current execution of the program, it has to place that address on the system bus, because after that, after providing the services of that particular interrupted device, again it has to continue from where it has been stopped. So that address it has to get. So first what it do is, before providing the services to that device, it is going to store the ISR starting address of that particular device on the system bus, and after storing the ISR starting address on the system bus, what it do is it is going to find out the interrupted device starting address. Once it gets the interrupted device starting address, it executes the ISR related to that particular interrupt. Okay, so after providing the services to that particular device, again it has to continue from where it has been stopped. So it is going to get the address from the system bus. Once it gets the address, generally it continues the normal execution of the program. So let us see the points now here. Whenever any device needs microcontroller services, the device notifies the microcontroller by sending it an interrupt signal. Upon receiving an interrupt signal, what the microcontroller do? It interrupts, what means it stops the current execution of the program, and then it is going to provide the services to that device. So providing the services to that device means executing the ISR related to that particular interrupt. So if you see what is an ISR here, interrupt service routine. Even we can call interrupt service routine as interrupt handler. So the definition of ISR says that the program which is associated with the interrupts, that we call it as an ISR or interrupt handler. Now what happens here? 8051 responds to the interrupt by executing the interrupt service routine related to that particular interrupt. For every interrupt, there is a fixed location in the memory that holds the address of its ISR. Like we have so many devices. So whenever any of the device needs microcontroller services, in the sense, it has to get the address of that particular interrupted device. So all the addresses of that particular interrupted devices will be stored in the interrupt vector table. See the last one, the group of memory locations set aside to hold the address of ISRs is called as an interrupt vector table. We have an interrupt vector table where it is going to have all the starting addresses of the interrupted devices. Steps in executing an interrupt. If you see the first diagram, this is a program execution without interrupts. Like we can say that a processor is executing the program. So if it is not getting any interrupt, what happens? It goes on executing the program till the end. Coming to the next diagram, program execution with interrupts. It means that, let us say now the processor is executing the program. Okay, in the middle of this program, suddenly one of the device needs the microcontroller services. So what it do? It sends a signal, interrupt signal to the microcontroller. Now what the microcontroller has to do? It has to stop the current execution of the program. So it is going to stop the current execution of the program, and it is going to provide the services to that particular interrupted device. Providing the services to that particular device, in the sense it is executing the ISR related to that particular interrupt. After completing here, then again it goes on, again it is going to continue from where it has been stopped. Then it executes this continuation program. Once again, whenever it is doing the continuation of the program, again one of the devices is disturbing the controller. So whenever it disturbs the controller, what the controller has to do, what the processor has to do here, it has to stop the current execution of the program, and the controller has to provide the services to that interrupted device. After providing all the services to that interrupted device, again the controller has to continue from where it has been stopped. Likewise, this is the program execution with interrupts, and this is the program execution with interrupts, and this diagram talks about program execution without interrupts. Coming to the steps in executing an interrupt, if you see the steps here, see the first step, it finishes the instruction, it is executing and saves the address of the next instruction on the stack. Yes, we already seen here. Second point, it also saves the current status of all the registers. So whatever the registers that are involved in the current execution, all those registers will be pushed onto the stack. Coming to the third point, after pushing the status of each and every register onto the stack, then it jumps to a location in the memory. That location we call it as interrupt vector table. Yes. Coming to the fourth point, from the interrupt vector table, it is going to get the address of the ISR and jumps to that particular location. Coming to the fifth point, after jumping to the location, it starts executing the ISR and it will execute until RETI is reached. Means for every interrupted device, you have set of instructions. At the last, you have RETI. RETI stands for return from interrupt. Means at the last instruction, we have RETI, return from interrupt. So as soon as it executes RETI instruction, what happens here? The controller, what happens? It will be transferred from the ISR to the main program. From here it has been resumed. First it will get the PC address and then starts executing from that particular address. Okay. So upon executing the RETI instruction, the microcontroller returns to the place where it was interrupted. Okay. We know that, as we all know, the program counter is holding the next instruction at which it is already stored onto the stack. Coming to the next one, let us see, we have total 6 interrupts in 8051. There are total 6 interrupts in 8051. First one is reset. We can call reset as a non-maskable interrupt. Reset in the sense, like whenever we program this reset pin to 1, then the microcontroller will reset and terminate all the current activity. And coming to the next interrupt, we have internal interrupts, which are related, like in the internal interrupts, 2 interrupts for the timers, that is TF0 and TF1. TF0 stands for timer 0 overflow interrupt, TF1 stands for timer 1 overflow interrupt, and one interrupt for serial port, that is TA and RA. TA stands for transmitting interrupt and RA stands for receiving interrupt, where we have seen in 8051 serial communications. And we have external interrupts. In the external interrupts, two interrupts for the external hardware interrupts, that is external hardware interrupt 0 and the next one is external hardware interrupt 1. So if you see the same thing, total we have 6 interrupts in 8051: reset, timer 0 overflow interrupt, timer 1 overflow interrupt, external hardware interrupt 0, external hardware interrupt 1, and this interrupt like RA and TA. These two interrupts are related to the serial communication.